What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 69. Nice. Of the Steam Deck Podcast. Flip Screen Games weekly podcast all about Valve's portable PC powerhouse, the Steam Deck. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Steven Radford.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Steve. It's the last episode of the year. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. We were just saying off mic, it's my last day of work tomorrow. I guess today, if you're listening to this when it comes out. Ready for Christmas, ready for a break, ready to play some games. It's going to be a good time.
What are you going to be playing on Christmas break? Anything lined up?
I'm playing a bunch of Dave the Diver at the moment. I enjoyed that game a lot more than I thought I would. Um, I've played about 12 hours of it in the last week, which I was surprised by.
Nice.
It's got a lot more depth than I thought it would. So yeah, I'm probably going to play a bunch of that. I want to finish The Last of Us Part 1, and then I'm hoping to pick up a couple of games in the Steam Winter Sale, which started today, and probably Pizza Tower, because I know you've been kind of ranting and raving about it and saying I really need to check
It's a
it
lot
out
of fun.
because
I
yeah.
think you should definitely check it out. That's one that yeah, I'm like just about done with. Like I think I'll
Mhm.
probably end up finishing it this week before Christmas, and I'll probably be playing some of the other games on my list over break. I'm like really torn. I'm in that like weird like do I are there other games I want to try, or do I want to just spend more time with the stuff I've already started, right? And it's like kind of that, can I get a couple more tastes tasted before game of the year, right? But we'll see. Because I am in a position where I think I might have to bump a game I thought would be on my top 10, which is pretty cool.
Wow, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's like that feeling is like, oh God, would be great to play a couple more games that I just haven't had the
Mhm.
chance to touch yet, but we'll see.
No, I'm surprised by that. My list is kind of there, I think, but you never know because Dave the Diver snuck its way on there. And that's a recent play.
Yeah.
So it's quite possible that I play Pizza Tower and that sneaks its way on there. Maybe I pick Dredge Up and that gets on there. It's like there's so many of these little games that I never got to because I was too busy, kind of knee deep in Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate and Diablo and Starfield. All these big blockbuster titles this year. I kind of missed all the small ones. And I need to
Yeah.
finish American Arcadia as well. I'm like 75% of the way through that, and I just sit down for a good few hours and play it. I think what I like about Dave the Diver is it's one of those like day cycle things. So it's just like I can play a day, I can put it down, I can pick it back up, and there's
Yeah.
no,
Something like
I'm not
American
really that
Arcadia,
bothered.
you kind of want to sit down and like let the story draw you in
Yeah,
and play it in
absolutely.
bigger
Yeah,
chunks. Yeah, I
yeah.
definitely get that.
What about you? What are you playing?
I think I guess it depends on what the answer to that question ends up being. Because if I decide to not jump into new stuff, then I'm probably gonna um just spend the time closing out like maybe Sea of Stars and some of the other stuff that I've started that I haven't finished. But that I'm like a good chunk of the way through, right? Like I'm in a similar boat with that game as you are with American Arcadia, where I think I've probably hit about the 70% mark at this point. I think I'm clearly halfway through. And I've played a bit beyond that. So, um, I don't know. If I take a look at the chapter list, I could probably.
See, I don't want to do that. I never want to know where I'm at, which
Yeah, exactly. And
I'm
that's why like
basing
I'm
it
I'm
on, like, a feel. I feel I'm about 75% of the way and
yeah.
based on where I think the story is headed and progressing,
But then
but
you
that
play a
game's
game
had
like
so many twists and turns, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
but then you play a game like Last of Us Part 2 where you're like, "Oh, surely this is the end." And then it's like, "Oh, that happens 3 times, huh?"
And then I'm hoping and praying it's the end, and I'm like, "Please, come on. Is this game still going? This
Right?
could have been the DLC. Come on."
But based on what I know about, like, the length of Sea of Stars, I imagine I'm pretty close to the end.
Mhm.
So I think, like, if I end up having the time to wrap, like, that and Pizza Tower and some of the other stuff that I've, like, booted up already up, then I think I'll probably try to get into Dave the Diver. Um, but I would probably see myself playing Dredge first because a friend of mine actually bought me a copy of it, so It's a pretty
Yeah, it
easy
would make
equation to just
sense
jump
too.
in.
I'm so
Plus, you haven't
curious
played
as
that
to
yet.
how different they are. Yeah, no, and I was talking to Max, right, who can't be with us, unfortunately, he's not very well. But, I was like, "I saw you played some Dave the Diver. I know you're a big proponent of Dredge earlier this year. Kind of where are you sitting on it?" And he's like, "Oh, I booted it up. I did the tutorial and I haven't got back to it yet, so I'll have to let you know." I'm like, I'm so interested to talk to someone who's played both games because I looked at the reviews before I picked one, and I was like, I know Dredge is like very story heavy. It's like got that spooky vibe to it, but Dave the Diver has like such a wide variety of content in there, and I think it was more
A
what I
little
was
more
looking
humorous
for.
in tone, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I think with those in mind, those are 2 that I definitely like to get into and and be able to kinda, like, have an opinion on. But then there's a couple other games that came out this year that, like, I am interested in and I think are, potentially, not as heavy a lift. Like, you mentioned American Arcadia, that's about 6 hours, right? So it's like, that's a game I could probably get through in a weekend.
I think
Um,
it's 12, but yeah.
I when I looked it up, I thought it was, like, 6 to 8, but maybe I'm misremembering. Um, Also, Oxenfree 2 is another game in that same kinda range where it's like, that's like a 10, 12-hour type experience, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
No,
and that's
you were
another
right. Yeah,
game
it's 7 hours, 8.5 if you do completionist, if you wanna get all the achievements.
for which
American Arcadia, sorry.
okay, so yeah, 7 to 8 hours. So between that and Oxenfree, like, it's one of those things where it's like, in the time I could play Dredge or Dave, I could probably finish both of those. So, do I do that? And then that's 2 more games I can consider, right? Versus 1 that I might only get somewhat of the way through. So that's I think where I'm at now is there are a lot of games I'm interested in. We did an episode with Max on Flip Screen Games a couple weeks ago where we were talking about what are the games we missed out on this year that like we still want to get to. And the reality is that there are like 5 or 6 games that I'm very interested in that I just have not had like Moonstone Island is another game on that list where like I really want to
Yeah,
play
yeah,
that game,
yeah.
but also that's like an endless loop type game. So it's like I don't necessarily have like 50 to 60 hours for that game
Yeah.
right now. And if I don't know if it's gonna hit, right, it's like
It'll hit. I think it'll hit for you because you played
probably
the
will.
demo and you loved that, yeah.
I did like the demo a lot, right? So, I don't know. It's I'm doing a lot of kind of game of the year math right now to try to
Mhm.
decide what is like the best way to spend my time in terms of like, being able to have the biggest swath of games I can discuss during the game of the year discussion, in a couple weeks. But yeah, a lot is up in the air, and I'm excited about trying any of them. I was glad that a couple of the games that I was interested in this year, I did boot up and kind of bounced off. And I was glad that there were a couple that like didn't catch my attention as much as I thought they might. So it was a little easier to
Which
walk
which
away from them.
ones? Which ones did you not enjoy?
I did not like Cocoon.
Which
I played
Oh, yeah, I remember you spoke about this on Flip Screen, yeah.
Yeah. I played a big chunk of it, and I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't know that I think it's probably more of it not being for me thing than it not being good thing because I was able to I had that moment early on where I'm like, I'm not sure that I like this, but I just kept playing. So obviously like there's something there, right? That like I didn't immediately just go absolutely not and just turn it off. Um But the more I was playing, the more I was like, "Yeah, I don't like this. Like, this is just not." It feels very, like, meandering, I think, is the
Okay.
the takeaway I had where it was,
I
like, a
mean, that's
little
how
bit
I felt about Brothers when we played that at Loot Box. I was just like, I
yeah.
just don't
I feel like
I'm
I
not
was
interested.
it feels like the gameplay is just kind of wandering around, and I know that, like,
Mhm.
in experiential environmental, like, puzzle games, like, that's kind of it, like, it is, like, exploring and figuring things out, but it's just, like, I don't know, I just felt like there wasn't enough depth to it to really
Coming from Inside and Limbo, I think, because obviously that developer worked on both of those games. I kind of feel like I can understand where you're coming from, right? You maybe were expecting that style of
the
game, and
emotional
Cocoon
resonance
wasn't
of
that.
those games
Yeah.
and the art style and the personality that like there's so much
Mhm.
about it that is interesting and also it's a good puzzle game, right? Whereas this, it just kind of feels more focused on the puzzles. And as somebody who's not a big puzzle guy, it just I don't know. You might connect with it more than I do because I know that like you like those like games
I
like
played a couple of hours of it. I thought it was decent because
yeah.
it's on Game Pass if people are interested
Yeah,
in
that's where I
checking it
booted it
out.
up. And
Mm.
I played it for like I think 3 hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours, and was just like, I am not enjoying this. Um I also tried Cassette Beasts, which is a like
Yeah, it looks
it's
like
like
Gang Beast, right?
it's like no, that you're thinking of Party Animals, I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's the one, yeah.
Cassette Beasts is like a Pokemon inspired like RPG, and it's like the elevator pitch is basically you're this person who gets sucked into this world where you can use these like cassettes to like turn into like music inspired monsters, or I guess they're not all music inspired, but there's a little bit of that. And
Mhm.
I don't know, like it's fine. Like it's got a pretty good art style, and the combat's pretty good, and like I played it for a couple hours, right? It's similar. I think it was the same day even as that I played Cocoon, and I was kind of just jumping in and out of a couple things. And again, I put 2 plus maybe 3 hours into it, and was like, oh, this is cool. And then the next time I sat down and was like, do I want to get back into that? I was like, maybe not, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no, I
it
know what you
wasn't
mean.
it wasn't bad. I think on a softer year, I might have spent more time with it, and maybe the more you get into it, the more there is, like, a hook there, but, I got to a point where, like, you get to the kind of this main town, and you start discovering side quests, and you start unlocking party members, and I was like, "Okay, I think I understand what the flow of this game is," and it's not that I don't like it, it's just, like, it wasn't compelling enough to keep me there when, there was some other stuff that I wanted to try. And then the next game that I tried was Venba, and I loved that. And that like I played right through in one sitting. So, you know.
That's good. I mean, man, Raw Fury really are, pumping out some games, like, I know you were just like, "Who's Raw Fury?" the other week, right? When we were talking about publishers.
Yeah.
American Arcadia, Cassette Beasts, Moonstone
Oh,
Island,
they're
they
them
publish all of
too?
those. So they really are pumping
Wow.
out some good games this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
They're kind of the I guess, the actual indie publisher now
They're
now
like
that,
the new Devolver Annapurna like type
yeah, now that
vibe.
Devolver's gone public, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, somebody's got to do it. And that's the thing, right? We talked about that a while ago, like and kind of like, oh no, like what happens like as more of these fall away or they get absorbed or they get bought or they go public, and it's like new ones will sprout out, and then all of a sudden 3 of the big games this year were published by this team I'd never heard of, and then it's like, "Oh, wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've already played 2 of their games."
We should probably talk, Pete, while we're talking about games from 2023. Our Steam Replay, they came out this week,
Yeah. Yeah.
and have you checked out your year in review?
Yeah, it was softer than I expected. I think the there's definitely some data that's missing from it. Like it tracks demos played, and it says I only played one
Mm.
demo. And it's the oh god, what is it? Eternites, which was the like Persona inspired game I talked about during Steam Next Fest. It ended up coming out this year and didn't have enough time to play it. But I played a few games during that demo period. Like I played Moonstone Island. That was when I played American Arcadia. And there was I think a fourth game maybe that I remember talking about during that episode. And like none of them were there. And
It was that underwater crab one that we both played
oh
and we
right,
spoke
right.
about.
Um Oh
Don't
god,
no idea what it was called, but
what
I
is
we
that
both had
called?
a good time with it. But
An
I played a bunch more demos aside from that. There was the one with the camera, Simpler Times that I played. I played Crime Scene Cleaner, Paranormal Investigators. I played all of these demos. Some of them show up on the grid of like games I played recently, but then I look at the top and it's like you've only played one demo. So I think their stats on demos are completely broken, but the games played
hmm.
seems to be accurate. 29 games I
It
played
was,
this year.
Another Crab's Treasure was the name of the game that we
That's the
played.
one. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so, like, the yeah, it seems like the demos are weird, right, for whatever reason. Other than that, it seemed accurate, but I'm not sure where the line is cut because it seems to be missing some of my data from December as well. Because, like, for example, with Pizza Tower, it says that I only have 1 session played, and it's like, well, that's definitely not true, right? Like, I'm
Yeah, I
almost
mean,
done with the game.
Dave the Diver's not even on my list, so I'd imagine they kind of
Maybe in the
maybe
last
cut it
week or
off at
2.
November or something, yeah. Oh, no,
Yeah, and I
'cause, yeah,
mean,
I've got 68% of playtime for The Last of Us Part 1 was in December, apparently,
it
so it
definitely
must be
has December because I started Pizza Tower in December, and it
yeah.
says, like, oh, 100% of that playtime was then or whatever, but, um, yeah, for it just doesn't seem to have a totally holistic look at
No, and
everything.
it's not live and updating. Like, it's like there was a cutoff. We don't so
Yeah.
it says in the FAQs what dates, right? So it's up until the last second on December 14th. So that'll be one.
So I was surprised by that. But other than that, I mean, I think it was pretty to my expectations because I didn't really have a lot of time with any one console this year just because of how varied the releases were, right? Like it's like, there was Spider-Man and Final Fantasy on PlayStation. I was playing Tears of the Kingdom and Mario and Super Mario RPG on and Fire Emblem earlier the year on Switch. I got into like Baldur's Gate and some of the other indies that we were just talking about and everything on the deck. I got into Starfield on the Xbox. I got into a couple of those other indie games on Game Pass. So like I think this is probably the least uh how do I phrase this? This is probably the least any one platform has dominated a given year for me in a long
Oh, yeah,
time.
you're kind of having a little bit of a buffet when it comes to
Yeah,
platforms. They're trying to play a little bit over there, and then, it's like I'm at a world buffet, fancy a little bit of curry, but then I'm gonna have some roast chicken with it, and
sure.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
have all of this, and it's great. Yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, for me, majority of my playtime was on the deck, but you can definitely see a lull in the middle, between May and July. There's a couple of factors for that. Obviously, Zelda came out, but also non-Steam games aren't counted. So Diablo 4, which I bought on Battle.net, did play on my Steam Deck. None of that time from May to July is on here. And also, I didn't realize, according to the FAQ, any time when you weren't connected to the internet, that also does not count. So if you played in offline mode,
Oh,
when I went away on holiday in
I didn't
July,
realize that.
none of that time counts. So a lot of the games that I played, a lot of the demos I played were when I was away on holiday, so they probably never got
That's
counted.
okay. That might explain why some of that stuff is missing too, right? Because like, yeah, like I took my Steam Deck when I went on vacation twice this year as well.
Yeah,
So, um, I don't know that I missed games in that window, but maybe that's why some of the time is off or whatever for some of them.
yeah, quite possibly. I
But yeah, you trounced me. I mean, you had 29 games played to my
yeah,
6.
and 18 new ones, which I was happy about. Like, I played 18 new games on PC this year, which was exciting.
Well
Um,
above the median, you know? You're killing it,
I
man.
guess,
100
yeah.
110 achievements, the median was 16, 29
Mhm.
games played, median's 4. Longest streak was 38 days. Real gamer hours, Steve.
You know what? You get into a multiplayer game with a friend and you just play it
Yeah,
constantly. Every
I'll
night
do
you're
it.
jumping on, you're popping your headphones on, you're chatting away and you're just having a good time.
My
And that
longest
game
streak
for
was
me was deceiving. 22 days in a row I played that game.
it says my longest streak was 7 days, which is interesting because like that doesn't sound wrong to me, but also it says it was in January, and I'm like, I feel like there was definitely a period where I played Baldur's Gate every day for 7
Did you play
days.
it every day on Steam Deck though? Because you pick that up on PS5 as well?
No, I never got the PS5 copy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, it's like, was I offline at some point? I don't
Yeah,
know,
quite
right? Like,
possibly, yeah.
but it could just be that I'm, misremembering and I was juggling more than one game at a time. So like maybe I didn't, maybe I broke it
Yeah.
at one point or whatever, and I missed a day and whatever. But that surprised me too. Like 7, I'm like, oh, really? It was only in January though? Like that seems wrong. But yeah. You wanna say the numbers don't lie, but I've seen that some of the numbers are wrong.
Of
So
course,
so it
yeah,
puts everything into
yeah.
question, you know? It's like, I don't know. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised by my numbers, but I'm also surprised by the games that I've been playing recently. I did not expect to get back into The Last of Us in the way I did in the last month. We had
No, that one
someone
surprised me for sure.
Yeah, we had someone ask about it in the Discord, last week saying, "Does it run well?" And yeah, it runs phenomenally well. I've played it, in December, according to this. I had a 7-day streak with The Last of Us Part 1, played 88 play sessions. I'm in winter. I'm about to take David down, if you know what that means. You know where I am in the game, and I'm having a great time with it.
Great time, that's how you describe that part of the
It's
game?
wonderful. I love that bit though. It's great. You know, I don't want to spoil it for the person who's not played it, who spoke about it in the Discord, but there's just the it's the most satisfactory ending to that section.
There you go. I don't know. Well, yeah, no, you're not wrong. It's just, yeah, you're right. I can't say anything else.
The whole game's weird, right? It's a great game, and it's a really great experience, but like it's not fun, is it? It's not a fun game. None of it's fun.
No, but there are parts of it that are, like, lighter, that, like, have
There
levity,
are, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that,
And
like,
then
even if
it just, like, pulls you back down, right? Like,
yeah,
"Oh,
the end gets
here's a really
dirty.
nice Oh, no, but even in the middle, right? It's like, "Oh, you wanted that robot? Here you go. Here's that robot that your brother said you couldn't have," right? And then you know what comes next, Pete. You
I
know what
do,
happens,
I do.
and it's just like, "Come on, you couldn't have let him have the happiness."
No. No, no, you can't. It's rough. Yeah. I mean, it's the thing, it's a rough world. It's a rough world, Steve.
Yeah, it's just very bleak. But yeah, everyone's been checking out the Steam replay this week. If you want to share yours in the Discord, come join our Discord. You can find the link at flipscreen.games. It's really fun to see what everyone else has been playing and how
I couldn't
different it
believe that was
is.
your second most played game, though. Really crazy.
Yeah, I know it's strange, right? It's really strange. It's only because I massively got into it again. Um, I thought that I mean Baldur's Gate 3 is not far behind.
Can we talk about how I'm looking at your thing and it says you only played 1 demo, but then when you scroll down, it
It's
shows
got
5
loads of
demos
demos.
on your
Yes,
yeah, it's
I
so
know.
funny.
It's
It's so
completely
funny how,
broken.
like, visibly confused it is. You know, like
Yeah, I know. It's like I played a ton of demos, and some of the demos, I think maybe it's because they're not available on the store anymore, so it doesn't show them. Like it doesn't show the demo for Moonstone Island anymore because
Oh, is that it?
that's
Okay.
gone. But
Sure.
like, I don't know if Crime Scene Cleaner's demo. Yeah, Crime Scene Cleaner's demo is still there, so maybe it's like
That
not
must be
showing the
it.
ones. But then it's not counting that I played Crime Scene Cleaner anyway, even though I did. And American Arcadia's still got a demo, so I have no idea. The numbers are messed.
It's a fun exercise either way, right? Even if it's a little funky.
Yeah, I love these. I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing all of my like stats for the year. It's the price I'm willing to pay for mass data collection from these platforms, and I'm okay with that.
This is the kind of thing where it's like, this is like 0% identifying information, right? It's
Hmm.
just like looking at what you did, which is like, I like analytics like that for sure.
Yeah, and then you map that playtime with the time you were meant to be working. Your boss is like, "Why did you play 300 hours of this game in June when you said you were
You're
working?"
your
And
own
you're like,
boss. You're
"Shit,
fine.
I'm okay." Yeah, yeah. Other people maybe not so much.
All right. So before we move on, I know we also wanted to just touch on some of the highlights of 2023. And I just kind of look back on the year for the Steam Deck, and I guess how it did, right? Because the last time we did this, last year in review we did for the deck, was its first full year on the market, right? And at the
Lots
end of
changed since then. Yeah.
yeah, right. A lot has changed, and I mean, I think some of the most notable highlights. Obviously, I think the biggest one being the Steam Deck OLED being revealed and then released in a very short window. We have like the SteamOS 3.5 release, which kind of got overshadowed by the OLED deck. But
Yeah.
definitely something we were waiting for. That we'll have. a longer shadow to cast, right? As time goes on and they continue to iterate and develop. And then of course, like, we had the reveal of like a bunch of, competitors entering the market, responding to the popularity of the deck, right? We had the ROG Ally, the Lenovo Legion Go, we got into some of the other,
Pioneer put out 1 million devices like they
right.
always do. Yeah.
Sure. Um, so yeah, I think when you look at the year kind of as a whole, it was, I think, probably not like the biggest, broadest, flashiest year two, but I think it was also definitely far from a sophomore slump, right? Like the device continued to sell, it entered new markets, it, connected with new players, and we got our first meaningful iteration on the hardware, which we I think agree is a really marked
I mean, it's
improvement.
that's only been out a month. It's hard to believe that the OLED's only been with us a month, and yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. Every single time I play it, I'm just like, I still love that screen, and I'm so glad I was able to go one.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. And I'm excited to spend more time with it, um, over the next couple weeks and then of course like next year. And yeah, I think seeing other companies enter this space is definitely something that we ended up talking about a lot, which I don't know that I expected it to be as much of a talking point as it was. And I think it is really promising, right? It's cool to see that there is a lot of folks who believe in this model and think that there is room for it to continue to grow, you know?
Yeah, I think it's kind of validating that this is a form factor that's here to stay now. Big laptop PC manufacturers have entered into the space, and it's clear that there's a market for handheld PCs. And I'm so glad that the OLED model came out and now exists. I wish they could have launched with it. It's a real shame that they couldn't. Um, but it gives me confidence now that they've got a great platform that they're just going to build upon for at least a couple of years. I don't think we're going to get another revision next year. Maybe we get a 2 terabyte model.
No.
Maybe we lose the LCD model entirely and the whole lineup becomes OLED. There's a bit of a price drop or something. I could see something like that happen. But I
Maybe.
think the model we've got is kind of here to stay now. Um, man, that was just such an upgrade. Like we said on the episode, it just ticks so many boxes and fixed so many of the problems and so many of the pain points that we'd spoken about. Battery life on this thing's insane. I can play David Live for like 8 hours. It's mental.
Yeah, I think it is enough of an upgrade that I don't necessarily see them wanting to iterate too much more from here. Like I think now that you have like the LCD as like kind of a budget option, you have a range of OLED options available. I don't see a lot of need to iterate from here unless you are ready to make that jump in power, because when you think about the review that we did of the OLED, right? Like, I think the thing that you and I found so compelling about it is that it checked pretty much every box that we had for, oh, these are things that could probably be upgraded. The screen could be better, battery life could be better, more storage, more this, more that, whatever. It got all those things. So now it's kind of like if you're not providing a massive upgrade in power or efficiency or something like that, I don't really see why you bother releasing another unit. Whereas I think there was clearly room for improvement with the base model. And now you've kind of got your SKUs covered. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of ride this wave the next couple of years. And, maybe rather than focusing on that, they do focus on stuff like, improving the docked experience or creating accessories.
We got a question about that experience
Yeah,
here
jump
from
into
the
it. Jump
live
into it.
from
Pull it in.
Vargo. They said, "How is the docked experience with the OLED now? Is it still as terrible as with the original? All I want to do is know that if it's docked and a controller is connected, automatically switch to controller ports, then swap back if I disconnect and undock. Do you think it will improve next year?" So I've had some issues. It doesn't really automatically switch the controller ports. You do still need to go into the quick access mode and change the controller order from the dock to that. It's a pain. It's a real pain. But it is a little bit better. You can turn the deck on now. I've managed to get it to turn on with the PS5 controller, which is great. You can do it remotely now. You don't have to turn it on and kind of go across the
Yeah.
way. But
That's
every
definitely a
single
major improvement for sure.
Yeah, that's a big improvement, but you still got to, for every single game, you've got to tweak the settings. You've got to go into like the little cog on the actual Steam store or library page to allow resolutions higher than the native resolution. And then you've got to figure out, do I want to compromise on 16 by 9 when I'm on handheld versus on the screen versus on my TV? It's a clumsy experience. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's clumsy. It's no different than the original. It's exactly the same experience. So if you not having a great time with the LCD model, you're probably not going to have a great time with the OLED model when it comes to docking.
No, yeah. So what about the back half of the question? Do you think it'll improve in 2024? I am inclined to say yes, but we thought so when it came out, and it hasn't improved as much as we thought it would. So it's one of
We
those kinds
do
of I
we
I,
we
I
did
think
get
it's a
like
little low.
tentative we got like tentative support for FreeSync. Works on some devices but not others now, which is a step in the right direction. I could see them investing time into it, but my worry is they look at the numbers, they look at the stats, and they're just like, everyone's playing this as a handheld anyway. So what's really the point in us
That's
investing
such
the
a chicken
time?
or the egg thing, though, right?
It
Is
is,
like
yeah.
because if it was better, I would use it more. Especially now with the OLED, where like you can achieve higher frame rates. So the idea that like I might play a game locked at 40 or something like that, I think is a lot more realistic, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd love to see the experience improve. It's whether they see that as the next thing they want to invest time into. I think probably the next thing that they should invest time into is actually getting a wide release of SteamOS, giving us that installer to dual boot Windows if we want to, allowing SteamOS to be installed on other devices, and then once we've got that solid base that they can build upon, then they can say, okay, we're going to concentrate on how we make this docked experience better, which will then kind of have the same impact on making Steam Big Picture mode better because they're kind of one and the same now.
Yeah, agreed. All right. So we have two more little kind of end of year PSAs for you. We have a ton more questions in the Steam docket. But before we get into that, let me remind you that this episode of the Steam Deck podcast is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of December. For the last time, they are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valenz, Earth Visitor, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Sobi, Snackago, Steve, Stompy, Susan Loves Cats, and also Boobies, Ty the Dude, and Wakahula. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. Y'all the reals to the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. Remember, if you want to go and show your support just like they did, if you want to write into the Steam docket just like everybody did, if you want to go check out some of those sister shows, including next week's end of year special, because while this is the last episode of the Steam Deck podcast this year, it is not the last episode of Flip Screen Games for this year. The Flip Screen Games podcast annual number 2 is happening next week, and we have a major event, Flip Screen Games Mania, our first ever major quiz show competition. It is a massive head-to-head. Steve, Max, Sierra, Chewy, the whole Flip Screen Games crew competing in a game of my design. It is a great time. You're going to want to go check it out. Make sure you go and head over to the website and click on some stuff. Go and find it. Make sure you're all subbed and followed along wherever you get your show for next week. So, Steve, we're back.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back. You're nailing it today, buddy. Good job. Let's talk about the Steam Awards.
Let's do it. Did you nominate any games for this?
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I didn't.
Okay, I did. The games that I nominated didn't make it, but some great games in here. Game of the Year award. I really love the Steam Awards because they're so different to any other award. It's games that people have played that have been nominated. Lethal Company's not up for an award anywhere else. It's up for Game of the Year at the Steam Awards. Anyway, you can go vote in them up until January 2nd. There's some really great games in here, and I'm looking forward
Up
to,
for
to
Game of
playing
the
it. And
Year.
what I also love about it is that it's like it's not just games from 2023. Like Red Dead Redemption's up for a Labor of Love award, I think for like the third
Yeah.
time. Like you can just keep nominating the same game over and over again if you
Like, they
want.
made it work on Steam Deck. Do it again. Nominate them.
Yeah, there is a best game on Steam Deck award specifically. Dredge is in there. I know you mentioned that you wanted to get to that. Diablo
Diablo
4's in there,
4,
a couple of
one of
other
your
games.
favorites, right?
Diablo 4, it runs really, really well on Steam Deck, surprisingly well.
I I'm really bummed that we didn't get to play Party Animals together this year. If we were still streaming, that's a game I think you and I would have played a lot, and it looks so fun.
Look, maybe we play it, in the new year. It does
I'm
look like
in.
a fun game. I feel like it's one of those games that I can be terrible at again, everyone's just gonna laugh.
I think that's the whole point though, right? I love they have the best
Hey,
game
I
you
wanna
suck
be
at
good at a
award.
game once.
That's perfect
Like,
for
I
you
wanna
then.
play I wanna play a game with you where I'm really good at it and you're really bad, but I don't think I'm go actually, I sort of did. I watched you play Elden Ring, and that was funny enough. That was
Okay.
hilarious.
First of all, let's not pretend that I didn't kick ass at Elden Ring, all right? I'm knocking bosses' teeth in the first time I fight them. Game's easy. Second of all, you did play a game where you were good and I'm bad, and it's called Splatoon.
Oh, yeah, Splatoon's
I'm
good. Yeah,
trash at
Splatoon's fun.
Splatoon, in
Yeah.
the
You're
grand
like, "I'm
scheme
gonna
of
try a
things.
bucket." I'm like, "Okay."
I
I'm gonna try
tried,
the
I
paintbrush.
tried. I did my best. It's not very good, but, I'm down. We can play Deceive Inc. You're all good at that now.
Yeah, I love Deceive Inc. It's my favorite game of I think it's probably my favorite game I've played this year.
Wow. Spoilers.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Who knows? We'll see. Everybody make sure you go vote. Voting closes on January 2nd. We'll definitely talk about it. I would imagine our first episode back, right? We'll talk about the winners and the losers and everything. I just went and cast my votes again, so make sure you go and do that. And
Oh, yeah, you get some, like, stuff, some badges or
you do.
something if you vote, right?
Yeah, yeah, and not to
Yeah.
mention,
You know
while you're there, you can go head over to the Steam store, like you said, because it's the Steam Winter Sale right now. That ends on January 4th, and there are a lot of really good deals. A couple of the games I mentioned earlier, wanting to play before the end of the year. I currently have Dave the Diver, American Arcadia, Oxenfree 2, and Mass Effect Legendary Edition all in my shopping cart, and it is coming together for 47.96. Steve, it's crazy.
Nice. Have you I had a couple of things in my basket. You get trading cards for doing this. I need to go in and sell some of these things because I did not realize these were worth real money, and I don't
Oh,
use
right,
these.
you can sell them for real money. I
Yeah.
forgot about
I
that.
don't use these at all. Couldn't care less. But I do care about real money, and I will I'm gonna go through later and sell all of these.
Is that in
I'm
your
gonna have
collections or something? Where do you go for that?
you go to your badges. So if you underneath your name, you click badges, and then under each of the games, you'll see like cards that you've collected, and
Okay.
then you can click on them, and you can click then sell these cards on the market, and you can like set a price. Some of them are worth pennies. I've got a couple that are worth pounds, but I've got enough of them that it might buy me a game. So I'm gonna sell some of these
I
things.
got a bunch, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, completely didn't realize these were a thing, and I've probably got like a
Oh my
almost 2
god.
decades worth
Yeah,
of
dude, I have
collectible
some
cards.
going back to, I have some that I unlocked in, 2012. Like, okay,
Yeah.
great. How do you sell them?
You click on them, and then you click sell on
Sell
the
these cards in the
marketplace.
market. Oh my god,
Yeah,
look at that. Wow.
yeah. Or you can buy some, complete your collection, and then sell the whole collection, I think.
I'll get out of here with that. Okay, that's fine. I'll take a look. The Steam servers are not keeping up with me right now, so I'll have to do that later. Anyway, thanks for the reminder, Steve. I'm gonna try to make enough money to go buy these games on the Steam sale. That's gonna be the move.
Look, nobody flood the market now. If you've listened to this, don't sell them.
Be cool,
Let me
chat.
sell ours first, and then you guys dump.
We taught you guys, all right? You gotta be cool about it.
Yeah. Can we do a pump and dump scheme with Steam trading cards? Where we
You
like
can't say it on
we
the
like
podcast. That's insider trading.
we like ramp up the price of like a specific card from like an obscure game. Oh, the orange cat from Stray. Let's make that card worth 20, and then we'll like all dump them in one go.
Perfect. I'm in. I'm in. I love it. I think you're onto something.
Everyone buy the orange cat from Stray. Just do that.
Wow. Yeah, they're here. I can make my little listings. 4 cents on some of these. Wow, dude.
Yeah, but some of them I've got some that were worth like three quid,
There
so
you go.
I'm happy with
Interesting.
that.
Interesting. Anyway, that's a. I'll take a look at that later. uh, so let's jump into the Steam docket, Steve. We got a couple more questions to get into here before we wrap it up for the year. This first one is another one from Largo Embargo. I think this was the one we teased at the end of last week's show. Largo
Yeah.
wrote in and said, "Can you guys explain how to properly manage FSR if a game already has it? I never know which takes precedence, the game's FSR or Steam Deck's FSR, or whether I need to scale the game down in its settings in order to use the Steam FSR." Steve,
Yeah.
break it down. How do you
So
properly manage FSR and which one takes
okay.
precedent?
So if the game supports FSR or XeSS, use that. Use XeSS over FSR, it looks better in my opinion. If it doesn't, you need to scale the game down and put it into windowed mode in order to use the SteamOS FSR. The SteamOS FSR, I believe, is just FSR 1. It's just scaling it up and just, kind of making it look a little bit crisper, applying some sharpening. The FSR in game is like building upon TAA, temporal anti-aliasing, and essentially what it does is it renders the game at a lower resolution internally and then scales it up to the resolution that you want it to be, whether that's the Steam Deck screen size, your TV screen size, or 720p, whatever that might be. So just use the in-game FSR if it's there. That'd be my suggestion. If it's not, use TAA if it's available, and then use the Steam Deck's FSR.
There you go. All right, this next one comes from Master Diver over on the Discord, who says, "I enjoy your show every week. Are there any upcoming AAA games that you are looking forward to playing on the deck? Do you think Destiny 2 will be playable on the deck in 2024 without having to jump through hoops? In other words, just launch and play from a direct installation." Let's start with the Destiny question, Steve. Do you think Destiny 2 becomes natively playable on deck in 2024?
No, sadly not. I
Yeah,
don't.
I don't think so either. I think the Linux support of it all seems to be the hang up, and until Bungie budges on that, I don't see that happening.
Well, it's the BattlEye cheats engine, right?
Oh,
BattlEye
right, the
anti-cheat.
anti-cheat thing. I'm thinking of
Yeah.
Fortnite. That's the problem with Fortnite, is that they don't want to support Linux.
Fortnite is that they don't want to support Linux because Tim Sweeney's got kind of I don't know. He's running a crusade against everyone lately. But hey, he's winning. He took down Google. So he lost against Apple. He took down Google. Maybe Steam's next. Who knows? I think he's
So
got
let us know if you want to buy the Steam Deck podcast, I guess.
I think he's got his eye on Steam. I really think that's his kind of end game. But yeah, BattlEye is the issue. I think BattlEye does work on Steam OS because there's a bunch of games that do work on Steam OS that use BattlEye. Most Ubisoft games use it, like Riders Republic, Ghost Recon.
Mhm.
Those games do work. It's definitely a Destiny thing. DayZ, I know that works. Ark Survival Evolved, I think that one works as well. So it's whether Bungie want to, and I don't think they really care, which is sad.
Yeah, yeah. I think unfortunately it's not something that I would hold your breath for.
Yeah, I could maybe see Sony intervening and being like, "Come on, let's just get it working," but I
Maybe.
don't really know what their incentive there would be.
I don't know that there is a major one. I think if there were a lot more Steam Decks on the market and there was like a vocal community clamoring for it, then maybe. But I think it being a thing that they can kind of um, rationalize as being a niche interest for a niche group, I think in their mind, it's probably not worth the trouble,
Mhm.
which I think is a shame. So, how about the AAA games? Are there any AAA games coming up that you're interested in playing on deck specifically?
So I was just looking at games coming out next year. I guess Persona 3 Reload would be one I'd probably want to play
That
on
was
deck. It's
that was
it's
my
good for
answer.
handheld. Yeah.
Yeah. Persona
Um,
5 Royal Runs is probably the best AAA game I've ever played on deck. So yeah, I would if it is even close to that performance, it'll be a perfect um, match. And obviously, those games kind of have a lineage of being handheld. So I think there are a lot of people that like playing them that way.
but other than that, I don't really know that there's much that's been announced for 2024 in the way of like big AAA games that I know are going to come. Um, at least not that I can think of. Not anything that I just be like, oh yeah, I really want to play that on Steam Deck kind of thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that comes to mind for me is like console exclusive. Like I'm trying to think of what are the big AAA like third party games that are due out next year, and I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Yeah, there's probably something from Ubisoft, right?
Sure.
And EA.
Um,
It's tough. They're really the only two big ones these days. Embracer shutting everyone down.
um,
Maybe Final Fantasy VII. Would you like? Maybe that'd be one that's probably going to come to PC next year.
Probably not though, right? It's gonna come to PlayStation first, and then it'll come to
Oh
PC
yeah,
later.
probably. Yeah. Later.
Helldivers 2 maybe is one I could see. That could be cool.
Mm.
There's the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered. That'll probably be a good Steam Deck game.
Yeah, not really AAA. I think that's really kind of. I don't think that's going to be a great collection. To be honest, but we will wait and see.
Yeah. Aside from that, I'm not really seeing too much else that's standing out to me. I'm going through a list, and I mean, yeah, not too much else that is announced that I think you can assume comes to Steam Deck.
Yeah, I
So
guess
nothing right now.
there's Hades 2 as well. If I'm playing that anywhere, I'm playing it
It's
on
like
Steam Deck.
I wouldn't call that AAA either.
No, it's not. Yeah.
That's not like a obviously awesome game, but it's not really. I don't know if that's in the spirit of the question.
Yeah, there's kind of nothing, is there, in terms of big games? Yeah, weird one. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure we'll have some big announcements soon. It seems like a lot of games get announced a lot closer to launch than they used to now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the last couple years probably have made people a little shy about some of that
Mm,
stuff because there was kind of like that period of, uncertainty, right? That kicked off in 2020 and, continues to kind of like we're kind of still working through that. And I wonder if having to announce games and then delay them, right? Like something like Starfield that had to get delayed like multiple times in the last couple years. Does that
yeah.
create a level of kind of, you know, um, hesitance among developers to announce a game too early if there isn't a reason to, right? Like if you don't need to announce it to get people to come work on it, if you don't need to talk about it to drum up excitement, then it's kind of like you're probably better off holding it and announcing it later and, having like that kind of Fallout 4 trajectory, right? Of like, hey, it's announced and 6 months later it's going to be in your hands. And, there's no risk of, somebody hacking your server and leaking the whole thing or like any of the other stuff that can unfortunately come along with that
I
stuff.
mean, they could. You just we'll just be like, "What the hell is Starfield?" And then we'll see everything about it, including a plot. Yeah.
You know what I mean though?
That's Yeah, I do. I quite like the shorter announce window. I feel like it's either one of two, right? It's we're announcing really early, like Blade, for example, because we want to hire people. We've not even started production on the game, but we need
Yeah.
developers who really want to work on this iconic game. Or it's we've already built the thing. We're so far down the line. Here's the game. It's coming out very, very soon. Or here's a shadow drop in the case of like Hi-Fi Rush earlier this year.
Yeah, and I guess there's an argument to be made that like I don't know. I think you kind of need a little of both of those things. Like you do need, to have I think games that are farther away to kind of fill in gaps and like give people an idea of what's coming so that you don't end up in a situation where people feel like they don't have things to look forward to. But also, as we've seen, right, like showing a game too much too often, over-promising, under-delivering, like, all become very real risks and real concerns, that you gotta kinda, walk that tightrope pretty tightly.
Mhm.
All right, let's okay, this next one comes from Space Channel 5. He says, "Have you been sniffing the exhaust of your deck?" Yeah, dude, if you could put that in a candle, I would buy a million of them. I am huffing that shit every damn time I boot it up.
It smells so good, and I tell you what, I got to experience a fresh smell when I replaced my fan in my LCD deck, and then the OLED came, and oh my god, the freshness coming out of that vent, wonderful.
It hits
I don't
so
care if
different.
there's carcinogens in there. It smells so it
I don't
smells so
care.
good.
There's
Just give it to
carcinogens
me.
in candles. Don't trick yourself. You've never breathed clean air. You might as well smell the deck.
My friend of a while back now for Christmas got me a petrol or a gasoline smelling candle, for Christmas.
That's
I
hilarious.
love the smell of petrol. Smells so good. So,
What a
yeah,
car
you're
guy.
100% right.
What a
I'm
car
so with
guy.
you. I don't even own a petrol car anymore. I drive an electric
That's why you
vehicle.
need the candle. Great. All right, last question of the day and of the year. Scale Speeder wrote in on the Discord just like you can and said, "Hi all, just pulled the trigger on an OLED deck and I was wondering what a good budget dock would be and which memory card should I get?" I would let's our answer memory card first. I would say get the biggest one that you can afford, right? But it's got to be high speed, right? You want to get the what is it, the SanDisk? Geez, I can't remember the letters. You got it
So
right.
I recommend Samsung drives these days. They're
Oh, okay,
usually cheaper than SanDisks. Anything that's an A2 class card or a U3 class card
there
will
you
be
go.
good enough. I get the Evo Plus or Evo Select ones. There's no difference between Evo Plus and Evo Select. The Evo Select ones are just made for Amazon, so that you can't go get a cheaper price elsewhere. Um, or yeah, get the SanDisk. I think it's SanDisk Extreme.
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
the
that's
micro
right.
SD cards you want. They're like gray and red.
They also
Um,
make some that have Nintendo logos on them that are like for the
yeah,
Switch. Those also work fine for the Steam Deck.
don't in any uncertain circumstances buy a micro SD card from a brand you have never heard of that has a random size on it, like 998 gigabytes or something weird,
Just
because
just buy
they are probably fake.
just buy one of the two that we suggested. Just get SanDisk or Samsung. They are
Yeah.
widely available. They're very good and reliable, and if you play your cards right, it's really easy to get one on sale. They're probably on sale right now for Christmas, and they were just on sale for Black Friday. They'll be on sale again in a couple months. You won't need one right away because if you just got an OLED deck scale, whatever your native onboard memory is going to be fine for a little while. Wait for a sale because if you play your cards right and you do get one of those good winter or summer sales or whatever, like when they do like Prime Day or whatever, or some junk like that, um, you can easily get one of those for like upwards of 50 to 60% off, and they're not cheap. So if you can knock $100 or 50, 75 bucks off, that really makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, if you're okay with 512 gigs at the moment on Amazon UK, because I know Scale Speeder said they're in the UK, um, it's £29 for a 512
Oh,
gigabyte
yeah, come on,
Samsung
that's
card.
great. That's great.
So
If you have the 512, that gets you up to a terabyte, and then you can upgrade later when you get a better deal.
yeah, so it's a really good deal. Usually it's 60, so it's down half price at the moment, so it's well worth picking that up, I would say. And then in terms of a dock, really depends on what you need from it. I still think the Steam Deck official dock is worth it. You
I
get the
agree.
extra AC adapter. But if you're really on a tight budget, any USB-C dock will work.
The one that you
JSOC
and I
has
used
one,
the one that you
which
and
is
I
like
used, prior to getting the official dock was the Amazon Basics one that you can get for, like, $12, and it works fine. Um, So I'm with Steve. I stand by that you should use the regular dock if you can afford it. I'll include a link up in the cards right now if you want to go check out our review of the docking station
Mhm.
originally. I still stand by that that's probably your best bang for your buck. A, because you do get another official Steam Deck charger. B, because Valve actively is supporting it and updating its firmware. Obviously, they haven't done as much as we had hoped to improve the docking experience, but you have seen updates and you'll continue to see updates. Whereas if you do buy a third party option, you're going to get what you pay for on that. And I think most of the third party options that are not like a basic, no nonsense, like no frills type thing, you're overpaying because you're saving money by getting the third party option, but it's not going to have those updates and you're not going to get that charger with it. So, it's like
Yeah.
you're ostensibly saving money, but really you're not. You're losing functionality to save what amounts to a few dollars.
It depends what you want there. If you literally just want a charging station or you want something that can plug into your TV and you don't care about the extra AC adapter, the JSOX docking station is 29.99 on Amazon UK at the moment. That's a really good brand that does a lot of stuff
I do have
within
a
the
friend
kind of the
that
Steam
has the
Deck.
JSOX and has had a good experience with it as well. So it's a fine
So yeah,
option, I suppose.
I'd recommend the JSOX one if you don't want the official Valve one, and that's only 30 quid, so it's like half the price of the Valve one. But like Pete said, you don't get the USB-C extra AC adapter, which probably is the difference between the cost of the two.
Exactly, right? And I would generally just advocate that, like, you probably want a second charger, right? Like, if you're traveling, anything like
But if
that.
you've got a ton of USB-C chargers anyway, because I have one for my laptop, one for my phone, one
Sure.
for an iPad, like you might not need one. Then a third-party option, I guess, is a good solution. Or if you just want, like, I actually use the dongle quite a lot when I go traveling, and when I to go on holiday or whatever, I take the little Amazon Basics dongle with me,
Yeah.
and it was like 12 quid, and it does the job. It's
And if
just
you
not as
lose it, it's like, who
convenient.
cares, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's I agree. I'm with you there. All right, gang. Well, thank you for joining us here on another episode and another year of the Steam Deck podcast. Remember, if you guys want to write in with your thoughts, if you want to check out some of our sister shows, including next week's Flip Screen Games annual number 2, if you want to write in with your thoughts, if you want to get involved, however you can get involved, head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website. Go and click on some stuff. It helps us out a lot. And unless you want to go above and beyond to show your support on Patreon, none of it will cost you a pretty penny. So it's an easy way to show your support. However, you choose to get involved, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Steam Deck podcast. Steve, any final thoughts for the folks before we headed out for the year?
Just thank you all so much for listening and writing in and giving us questions and things to talk about every single week that we could talk about the Steam Deck and just share it all with you. And go and play a bunch of games over the holiday period in the winter sale. Go and buy a ton of stuff and just relax, spend time with family, chill out, play a bunch of games. I'm probably going to go pick up a load of the Jackbox games because I think they're on sale in the Steam winter sale and play those with my family. And I'm really
Very
looking forward
nice.
to it.
Very nice. Yeah, and of course, I echo Steve's sentiments there. Thank you guys for all your support this year. 2023 has been a really great year for us. I know it was a tough year personally for both Steve and I for different reasons, and to see the continued support and growth of the shows has been really really awesome and humbling for us to see. So we greatly appreciate your support and thank you for being a part of the community and for tuning into the Steam Deck podcast every single week. And we have a lot of really cool, exciting stuff planned for you in 2024. We're very excited to share it with you and to, get you guys involved and all the cool stuff we got planned. So make sure you keep it tuned here. Make sure you have a happy and healthy holiday and new year. And we will see you in January. Stay safe until then. Uh, I've been Pete. He's been Steve. We'll see you next year. Like, what else do I got to say? All right, you guys be well. We'll see you. Love you.